What up YouTube, Spike Robot here with another video. And you know, Metalheads are, or were, some nasty fans. Now full disclosure, I'm a fan of heavy metal, but I can tell you in my experience, and the experience of many people, Metalheads are some of the meanest fans on earth. They're right up there with old school Sonic fans and even hip hop fans. Of course, that is actually becoming less true now, but there was a time when they were really nasty. It was in the early 2010s. To be fair, some fans were pretty nice, but there were very few of them. I don't even know where the fuck to begin. You know what? Let's start with something that you would only know if you're a fan of the genre. A lot of metalheads really love thrash metal, death metal, and black metal. Those are three genres that get the most respect. Now there are some that get a little respect, but not enough in my opinion, like power metal and symphonic metal. But the main ones that most hate are nu metal and metalcore. Out of all these, power metal, symphonic metal, and nu metal are probably my favorites. I like a little bit of metalcore, but there's only really two bands which I like, which are All That Remains and Wage War. Now, I don't really hate thrash, death, or black metal, but all three of these genres have more or less the same problems. They may be technically impressive, but the actual songs are not very memorable. They don't really have very ear-grabbing melodies to keep me coming back. If a song is not memorable, then it has pretty much shot itself in the foot, because there's almost no reason to listen to it again. I'm fucking serious. I just feel like nu metal, power metal, and symphonic metal especially have stronger melodies and are just way more memorable. And that is what I look for in music. It also doesn't help that all three of the ones that get respect have very dark and nihilistic lyrics. Even more so than nu metal, even. And that's saying something. I promise I don't hate any of these genres. I don't really hate any music genre. Well, except maybe crunk and mumble rap. But if I were to tell a metalhead from the early 2010s that, in the same way, mind you, they would say shit like, "Oh, you're not a true metalhead. That trash is not true metal. It's just gay. You should listen to true cult metal." I'm not making this shit up. That is exactly what they would say. Basically, if you like any genre of music that they hate, or are not fans of, or you're not a fan of the genres that they like, they would flat out insult you, and for really no other fucking reason. They would even use homophobic slurs, which is really uncalled for. It doesn't matter how civil you try to be. That is how a lot of them react. They would also make these stupid fucking hipster takes on certain bands. If a band got even remotely popular, they would automatically hate them. They would hate on bands like Limp Bizkit, Breaking Benjamin, Five Finger Death Punch, Godsmack, probably many others. Sure, they're popular, but they're not that popular. They're really only popular within the metal crowd, more specifically the nu metal crowd. So, yeah. They're not even close to the top 40 because they're just too off-putting to be mainstream. So to bitch about them and the fact that people love them is just a waste of time and words. They're not really household names like, say, the Beach Boys. So why even bother? I find it really funny that these people say that people only really like them to fit into some group, when in I think it is pretty clear that they only like Metallica or Megadeth or Slayer or whatever fucking true cult metal band out there to impress other big shot metalheads. They're just projecting their flaws onto other people. At least that's what I'm getting from them. Beyond that, only praising what has already been praised for decades is just going to lead to a homogenized musical echo chamber that stifles others who have different perspective on things. I believe that is completely counterintuitive to what music is all about. That is not the only retarded argument a lot of metalheads have made, but that is the one that pisses me off the most. No one really gives a fuck if you like these bands that you like. That in and of itself is not going to impress people. Sure, a lot of this is online, but I've had to deal with this in real life too. My brother was the most stereotypical metalhead I've ever met in my life. He had the long hair, he was good at guitar, and he was a douchebag with a capital D. A lot of the shit that he said is very similar to what a lot of hardcore metalheads would say. He would react like an attack dog if I mentioned a band that I liked and he hated, even if it was just as a neutral observation about them. He would play his music in the car all the fucking time, and he would rarely let me listen to any of the music I like, and even then he would demand he would have a turn, all because, oh, your music is trash, your opinion is wrong. Fuck him. Seriously, fuck him. I'm shocked that he didn't use homophobic slurs against me. He might as well have done that since he pretty much said everything else. Granted, he was younger when he got into it, and my parents probably shouldn't have let him listen to that music. But when he was in high school, I think it was when he was in high school when his elitism was at its absolute worst. I'm not gonna lie, I almost stopped listening to heavy metal at that point. Multiple times I considered quitting. I just couldn't take it anymore. But thankfully, he left for college and moved away, and considering he mistreated me throughout my whole life, I didn't miss him. Not even a bit. Also, I really began to get into video games and anime. By the way, in my experience, anime fans are generally some of the nicer fans, which was even better. But most importantly, I started to enjoy heavy metal again for the first time in a long time. On top of that, internet attitudes started to really change around that time. I think it was in 2017 when he left. Might have been 2018, I don't know. More people were starting to look back on the toxic internet dickheads they voiced a lot of the frustrations that I had back then. Thank Odin this happened, because my self-esteem couldn't take another hit. This is partially why I struggled with insecurity for a large portion of my life, and it's partially why I'm just more passionate about movies. But I think now is the best time to be into the genre. There are so many genres and styles to get into, and even fans are starting to be a little nicer. I'm always finding new bands that I enjoy, like Brothers of Metal, War Kings, and even Ad Infinitum. I think that's their name. I didn't really make this video to call anyone out, except the people who can't read the room. But I don't think anyone really does that, considering attitudes towards this have changed. At least I hope they don't. I'm just doing this as a form of therapy and posterity, in the sense that we are looking at how far we have come. So, yeah. That's really all I have to say about this. I'm Spec Robot. If you like this video, you can subscribe to my channel and feel free to support me on Patreon. See you next time on the Freedom Jingos.